itabidi.
Friday 4 p.m. Umesikia? Interesting times, and that happening at the start of what is going to be a heavily political year ahead of the election in August 2027. And speaking of election, this way, that way, which way? ODM, it would seem. But for someone who's making a promise that there won't be this way, that way for anybody in ODM, that everybody is in ODM to stay, or so the party leader says. Let's listen.
And our party is not a party for expelling people. We are not going to expel anybody from the party.
But yet there's some people who feel like they're being threatened, people who feel like they... What's this jostling about? Maybe, Jay, now that you've given ultimatums and deadlines before...
Let him issue another one.
Should I issue another one? Yes, please. Yes. At least to ODM, maybe...
They square it out,
yeah,
or they perish.
Yeah.
I think, like we have said previously in this same panel, after the death of the ODM party leader Raila Odinga, such kind of push and pull was expected, and for the very simple reason that there was no succession plan in ODM, and the death of Raila was very abrupt. So this threw them into uncharted waters, and everybody is trying to find their footing in this. But I must also say that the jostling, mostly, initially it was about 2027, but what I see now is largely about 2032. Yes. It's people trying to prepare themselves for future elections using the party. And why do I say so? I say so because if you look at the kind of formations that are coming up, the two formations, there's one that is perceived to be among the older people within the party, in as much as some of them are still young, age-wise, mid-years. Then there's another one that seems to be having a number of young people that believe that if the party makes certain decisions, then it will affect its future performances in the other elections. But then there are those ones who feel that it is right now, right here, that the survival of the party highly depends on the connections and the networks it has currently. But I must also add that it is very healthy, because it could be justified as the D in ODM
in that
democracy.
Sector, there are
that this is part of the internal democracy that ODM has preached over the years, that everyone is allowed to give their views, speak their mind, and it's well accommodated. But it gives conflicting messages, especially to the masses. And that is why it is important that they sort their issues out very fast. Because the more such voices comes out as if they are dissenting voices, and the people who are pro the system of things as they are, then a majority of their supporters are getting conflicted, and this might affect their chances even at the gubernatorial and parliamentary and ward level elections in 2027. So ODM really need to act fast, try and find its bearing, because they'll not find a bearing in the immediate term, but try and find a semblance of a bearing. And this can only come when all these voices sit down and agree on the way forward. Might not be a popular within a section of the party, might be popular within a section of the party, but they must be seen to be agreeing on certain things as soon as now.
Yeah.
Because political parties looking forward to take part in 2027 August elections are already taking shape. They're already organizing. If you look at what UDA is doing, if you look at what DCP has been doing, if you look at the other smaller parties, DP just had its NDC yesterday, all these other parties. So ODM really needs to get its act together so that its majority of followers get to know the bearing of the party ahead of the next general elections. Otherwise, it will disintegrate.
Yeah, you know, they can, you know, in this country, one of the things that we always hear is, oh, no, there is no rift, people are just ventilating. Listen, we heard that when it was former President Uhuru Kenyatta and his then Deputy William Ruto, and they said, no, there's nothing, this is a figment of your imagination, it's the making of the media, we know what happened, and on. And that's not the only example. We've seen several where there's voices bubbling under and over and publicly in a manner in which they don't seem to be using their internal party structures to ventilate on these matters. And I guess, having different views is, I mean, certainly open. We saw that even at the UDA NGC meeting that was held this week, and we'll come to that in a moment, where, you know, there were some people who stood up and, you know, spoke their mind. But this is happening very publicly and very, you know, dramatically. And just to point out the two, they don't want us to call them factions, the two sides, the two differing opinions, the two democratic opinions that exist. Let's listen to them. One side that talks about what happens with ODM between now and 2027. Let's listen first to Governor James Orengo.
Raila kusema mambo ya coalition, alisema haki ya wananchi itimizwe kwanza.
And another member of that wing or that mrengo, you know, whatever you want to call it, Babu Owino, MP.
Kwanza tunataka NDC iitwe. Na kama mwezi ita NDC, tuko hapa na katibu ambaye anasimamia mambo ya kuita NDC.
Yeah, and then let's listen to the other side who is saying, you know, NDC is not a problem. We are willing to go down that road. Let's listen to Gladys Wanga on how decisions will be made within the party structures, that is of ODM.
Decision itachukuliwa kutoka kwa dirisha. Chama iko na structures and the decisions will be made through the relevant party structures, and once they are approved, there will be no reverse gear.
There'll be no reverse gear. You know, interesting enough is that I think it's the same event, or maybe a different one. There have been many. Gladys Wanga, who is also the governor of Homa Bay, also spoke about the decisions that will be taken at the NDC. And one of the decisions is that Oburu Oginga will be confirmed the party leader. Herself will be confirmed the chairperson of the party. Yep. And all the other members in the top leadership of the party will also be confirmed, which is also in contest because the people that are opposed to that, they're saying that you don't have the mandate to lead this party. When you are looking at even the process that was followed, if you recall the ODM at 20 events, you will see that during those celebrations, and I think that's when Winnie Odinga for the first time raised the question of has an NDC been called to have these leaders or their positions ratified. And you recall that on the eve of the ODM at 20 celebrations, there was an NGC meeting, National Governing Council, after a long trip from from Nairobi to Mombasa via train. There was that meeting that went ahead to confirm the positions of the party leader, the leadership of the, I think, the Central Management Committee, including Gladys Wanga, who had been acting up until that time, the deputy party leaders, positions that had actually been created following the ascendancy of Wycliffe Oparanya to the cabinet. And you find that there was even an extra position created, such that now we have 3 positions of deputy party leaders: Simba Arati, Abdul Somad Sharif, and then there's Godfrey Osotsi, of which these positions are not created by the constitution of ODM. So the questions are being asked, are we doing the right thing? Are we playing by our constitution? For Gladys Wanga to come now and say that the NDC you're asking for will be called, despite your complaints, it will confirm...
To rubber stamp or ratify.
Exactly. I think someone is not following the law, and I'm just wondering why we have not seen people, or maybe they have, taken this matter to the courts or tribunals or whatever they may want to complain at. But far from that, at the same time, you might want to ask, and I hear Jay Bonyo saying here that every other party is reorganizing. But in the history of political parties in this country, as we race towards an election, how many months are we, by the way? So using January, so this is 11 plus 7, 18 months to the general election. We have never had a coalition being formed 18 months to the election. That's 1.5 years. We've never heard of pre-election pacts being discussed to the great detail that we are seeing it now. You might wonder, why is ODM getting into this conversation? I think we may want to listen to the reason in 2.9 so that you understand why ODM is in a rush.
If it is working, don't fix it. Sindio? So what we have agreed with the leadership of ODM, that let us explore the option and the opportunity of having a coalition going into the next election.
So this is my hypothesis, that ODM is in a rush because the president wants them to be in a rush. That yes, the party leader died, there was a transition that needed to happen, and you need to put it in order so that you don't lose everything.
So whose sense of urgency is this then, you're saying? Not ODM's?
No, it's not. Because like I said, ODM has existed since 2006.
20 years.
They have gone into elections in 2007, in 2013, in 2017, in 2022.
Yeah.
The coalition that took Azimio leader, Raila Odinga, to the election, I think the NDCs were held in February of 2022.
Yes, actually it was
in readiness for an election in August. That was about 6 months to the election. This is 1 year, 6 months to the election. If you had to look at the coalition of NASA, it was equally not, it wasn't 18 months.
No.
If you look at the coalition of CORD coalition in 2012 or 13, it was very few months to the election. If you look at Jubilee coalition, TNA URP, it was at the tail end of the year 2012.
September 2016, I think.
No, I'm not talking about the election of 2013.
13, yes.
Yeah.
So the coalition of TNA URP was towards the end of 2012. The election was in March 2013.
Yes.
So if you have to look at history, you'll see that it is too early for us to be here. But like I said, the president needs ODM intact, at least certainty. He needs to be certain that I'm forming a coalition with ODM, and an ODM that looks like this.
So that block is sorted.
Exactly. Now, Oburu Oginga is still the senator of Siaya. I wonder when is the last time he served as senator of Siaya actively. Because he's been so busy leading the operations within the ODM party, and of course many other challenges that have been coming by. But as you do this, so I think the intention is to make sure that ODM is not available for anyone else. So get it out of the way. If you're dissatisfied, address rallies, meetings, and whatever. Take a walk, form coalitions with whoever else. But also it's a plot to show the country, see who is ready, who has the agenda, who is ready to hit the road running. And you've seen the clarification or the clarion call that the president gave the other day, that this time round we want to win by 2 to 3 million votes. That does not happen in a vacuum.
Yeah, let's listen to him actually saying that 210, talking about the margin by which he won in 2022 and what his plan is for 27.
Some people are saying that the shoes of Raila are too big for me. Even though I know they are big, but I'm trying, I cannot surrender.
The last election, we won by a margin of 200,000. 200,000. This election, we must win by a margin of 2 to 3 million.
Jay?
I think something curious and speaks to what Sam is saying. The president is not donning a traditionally yellow cape, as it were. It has a mix of colors.
Can we say that again?
Can we just freeze that frame? Yeah.
That is very telling.
And you sure it's not lighting?
Yellow suit. The cape
Just,
is...
just look at the cape.
Yes, yes.
Robert, maybe we can go back to that footage of this president.
So,
the cape is tangerine.
yes.
I'm not good at colors,
yes,
but
what we've just played, yes.
because I don't
the
think
president
the
on the margin of votes.
put up a faded cape.
Yes.
You see, Mungatana's is yellow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Very different from the president.
Very different from what the president...
Yeah.
Because that could be a pointer that he has already moved. Oh, here it is.
Freeze?
You see?
Yeah. I don't know, because the yellow behind... that
Can
must
we
be,
play,
I think
that's
yellow.
that must be Deputy Speaker of the Senate. You can see the scarf is very yellow, so
yes.
we have no problem with what yellow is yellow.
Yep.
The suit looks almost cream.
Yep.
And then the cap is...
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's tangerine or it's
just
orange.
Keep running it. You know, the interesting thing about this is, for once, it's men discussing shades, color. So, yeah.
And almost in a superstitious way, because I don't think we're interpreting this correctly. I mean, he could have worn any other color, and
he's the president, he's a party leader. He can wear what he likes.
Yeah, he's hosting this. It's a state house, and.
So you think he's ready to move towards, like, this is not as yellow?
Yeah, because compared to the other capes,
it's
would
moving
they have
towards
given
orange?
the president a cape that does
looks different?
Yeah.
Oh, as the party leader. Okay, but maybe there's everything communicate. Maybe there's something there. You know.
No, dressing aside, I mean, it doesn't even need any deep interpretation. What is going on in ODM is very simple. ODM is divided between those who support a second term for President Ruto and those who don't support a second term for President Ruto. It's actually
as simple as
that simple. Yeah. The rest is just superstition, we can call it that. The party is divided because of a simple reason, and that is the 2027 election. And then the appetizer called the broad-based government. When you see former party chairman Mbadi speaking, and I don't know whether we have that soundbite of him speaking during the holiday, he even said this government is God's government. And he holds a very, very powerful docket called the Treasury. And his other colleague is in energy and petroleum. So one thing that President Ruto has done to ODM, something that has not happened to ODM since 2007, is to give ODM a taste of real power, access to actual government. Not tokenism. And I need to talk just a little bit about the history of ODM. I mean, ODM came up in 2005 as a result of the 2005 referendum, in which the side that was supporting the referendum was led by Mwai Kibaki, and the side that was against it was led by Raila Odinga. And this division was actually occasioned by the split of NAC, or the weaknesses that we saw in 2002, 2003 in NAC that had swept to power. What had happened is the coalition of Mwai Kibaki and Raila Odinga. Mwai Kibaki was leading the National Alliance of Kenya, NAK, and Raila Odinga was coming in with the LDP, Liberal Democratic Party. There was an MOU that agreed on the sharing of power. After the elections, Mwai Kibaki and his insiders looked the other way and trashed the memorandum that was signed, the pre-election memorandum. By the way, that was another pre-election memorandum that was supposed to have made Raila Prime Minister and a number of positions that were going to go to LDP. Kibaki did his own thing, shortchanged LDP. And that is why 2005 happened. ODM came to the scene. as a party orange. That was a sign
the
symbol that was
those
used
that disagreed, yeah.
for the referendum for those against the proposed constitution. So Raila converted it to a political party that became the Orange Democratic Movement. Now we got all the way to 2007. ODM wins the elections, but somehow it can't access power. Presidency went back to Mwai Kibaki, and then the international community forced us into a grand coalition government. Again, the sharing of positions became a big issue, very, very big issue. Mwai Kibaki and his team, drawing no-go zones. There are some ministries that cannot be given to the opposition, ODM. And that is how Raila ended up being prime minister, and a few of his, not a few actually, the coalition was split 50-50, but you could tell the ministries that were lucrative, that were ministries, were going to the PNU side. And then now, all the way to now, ODM is now in coalition politics again, but with access to some really consequential dockets like energy and petroleum. There is the Treasury Ministry. So this is what is complicating things. This is what is making John Mbadi sound the way he sounds these days, because it definitely doesn't sound like
he's tested blood.
The person that Sam Gituko was speaking to some time ago. He's tested the good side of power.
Yeah.
Now, in ODM, there are those who are saying, okay, for us we are in power with UDA. Why do you want us to go out first and then
come back
and then come back?
Yeah.
These are the proponents of the pre-election pact. They are saying, no, we could as well work it this way, support William Ruto for a second term, and we remain in office, we remain in power, give us petroleum, give us, we retain petroleum and treasury, and give us something else.
Because you could go out there and stay out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to see from this pro-Ruto ODM side is demands for more.
Yeah.
I've seen them whispering about a running mate. But I call it a whisper because it sounds like one. I don't think they're serious about it. I don't think they're serious about it. They'll raise their stakes elsewhere, but not on the running mate slot. I'll be very surprised if they'll have the courage to actually ask for the number 2 slot. They don't sound like they are, because they're already too willing. They're already too happy with petroleum. They're already too happy with treasury. Just add something else like agriculture, some of these ministries that can be taken across. You can do that and maybe keep the running mate to where it currently is. So we're going to see that interesting scenario with the pro-Ruto wing of ODM. Then there is the other side that is alive to other questions about the record of the Ruto administration between 2022 and now. And we're talking about things that include the Gen Z uprising of 2024 and the commemorations that followed thereafter. There are things in this country that happen that cannot be ignored. They cannot be swept under the carpet of broad-based, however broad the carpet can be. Those things will still be relevant in the politics of 2027, and there is that team that is aware, is alive to those realities, that the Ruto administration has a record to defend. They have questions to answer before re-election, and that is, I think, I'm just trying to interpret their behavior. I think that is the intention of the younger wing of ODM. They are closer to Gen Zs. They are closer to those questions that they raised in 2024. And the fact that those questions remain unanswered to date bothers them. So that's a wing that is also saying, how about just simple conscience? And lastly, in this scramble for ODM, one would have expected Kalonzo Musyoka to stake his claim as well. Kalonzo Musyoka was the running mate of Raila Odinga since when? 2013.
13, yeah.
3 elections has been Raila's running mate. Why is he not taking his claim in the ongoing Raila succession? Because this is Raila succession. We can call it Raila succession. You want Raila's support, you want to inherit the base. This is a space that Kalonzo Musyoka should actually be also shooting for.
Let's talk about, one of those wings that you mentioned and hear what they have to say exactly. And let's start with Winnie Odinga on those coalition talks. Too early?
But yet you think the conversation about a pre-election pact is...
premature.
Okay. At what point would it be mature?
After we have assessed the achievements of the 10-point agenda. The 10-point agenda is a contract. It's a guideline that we are meant to assess the governance of Kenya. I believe there's still quite a few outstanding points that need to be addressed.
Do you think they can be addressed by March the 10th?
I want to be optimistic.
And let's listen to Senator Edwin Sifuna on the same.
UDA iko na maadili inafanana na ODM. Hawa ndio kwenye kuhujumu demokrasia kila siku. Wanashika vijana wetu eti kwa sababu mtu ameandika kitu kwa Facebook.
So there appears to be serious contest. And I think at this point here, it's important to say, if you look at what's happening now, and yes, William Ruto was once a member of the ODM party. I remember vividly watching him in 2007.
By Raila
Odinga was reading the manifesto of the party. It was the election, and he had been at it for some time. And William Ruto stood with a glass of water and presented it to him. And the crowd was very impressed by that and became a very strong pillar in ODM. Well, never mind, he was paid back by one of our former very own, Hussein Mohammed, when he presented his manifesto launch. I think it was somewhere in Kasarani, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, so their roots go deep within ODM, the association, and you've heard the president saying that they've been together. He has supported all of them, including Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, and he had always said that maybe it's time for him to pay back. So this looks like a chance for ODM party to pay back. But it's not that easy. I think here is a contest for power and the resources. This has nothing to do with values. It has nothing to do with the challenges that Kenyans face today. Because you can imagine all these meetings that are happening, even if you have to look at the grassroots meetings that ODM has had. Yeah. All those delegates or members of the party that attend, it costs money to host such. If you look at the meetings the president has held within State House or even Sagana State Lodge with grassroots leaders of the UDA party, and you will say that indeed the political parties have resources because they've been allocated those resources. All this is happening to prepare for 2027 election. Never mind that the current government is elected to serve the people of Kenya between 2022 and 2027. But at the same time, you have members of the population that do not have money to buy school uniform, shoes, socks, a mattress that costs about 2,600 shillings, or even what you may call lunch for day scholars, which is about between 3,000 and 5,000 shillings per term. They have not been able to achieve those things. If you look at the tours that we see in this country, the visits that we see the president hosting, including to different parts of the country to either launch Nyota or to just have meetings here, they're happening at a time that part of the population is suffering. And it doesn't mean that you cannot work and at the same time do something else. But this is just to show you the political class is uniting to look for the votes of 2027, forgetting what exactly is happening in the daily lives of Kenya. So it's very important that Kenyans know that whatever is happening now has nothing to do with them. This is about politicians looking to secure power in 2027. At the same time, there's a generational question here that for far too long, most political parties have been led by people that have advanced in age. You call them mature, if you like. People above 60, ordinarily. If you look at the leadership of ODM, even now, the leadership of parties like Jubilee, the party leader is over 60. If you had to look at UDA, the party leader is turning 60 this year, later this year. But there's a generation that feels left out. And I know some chairpersons like Gladys Wanga is not very old, younger, perhaps. But there's the reality that there could be young leaders that are leading political parties, but they are serving the older generations. The young people have an opportunity in this election to decide how will their voice be counted. Is their voice just going to count as the votes that will be tallied at the Bomas of Kenya or wherever the National Tallying Center will be this time round, knowing that there's a lot of renovation work going on at the Bomas of Kenya, and the memories of my birthday in 2022 when we saw a lot of chaos right there. They were not chaotic because of me. The chaos was because of the declaration of the presidential election. I was in studio, sadly. But most importantly, the young generation has to think about it. It is the Gen Zs and the younger millennials that were butchered in Parliament in June 2022. It is the same generation that suffered. People were killed. Mothers buried their sons and daughters. There has never been an official acknowledgement by the state of how many people died. There has never been even this platform that had been created for compensation, and the High Court said no. It cannot be done that way, never mind implementation of the 10-point agenda. So the state continuously has abused the human rights of the young people. Yes, today there's a program funded by the World Bank for Nyota project across the country. But has the state responded to the concerns of the young people? I bet not. So if indeed they are going to be party or part of this conversation towards the election of 2027, think about it. Not just about supporting a political party because there's a wave of whether it's 2-term or 1-term. What is in it for them? And they have to get involved, in my view.
I think Sam raises very important points, and it speaks to what exactly do the young people want. Because if you look at some of this formation, young people, just like everybody else, want to use them as vehicles to get those political seats. But the intentions to change and have better as a country is what should inform the association with these political parties. Because if you don't, then you are joining into something that has been there for years and is just a platform to advance certain interests. So it's important for young people of this country to ask themselves, does the formations that exist serve their interests and desires? Or being there, you are simply trying to further certain interests that do not serve the wider interests of the younger people. So maybe they need to organize better.
Yes, because everybody else
is.
is.
To think that if the same vehicles, because ODM 20 years, if you look at the other formations, less than 5 years, but the way the structures are run is similar to what Mwai Kibaki did with PNU and all those parties before. So I think it is an opportunity for young people in the coming general election to try and organize better, to try and find their place in the political circles. That is not tokenism, but is something that is earned and something that is a true reflection of what they want.
Yeah, and I think, Canon, you're meaning that they have to do and think completely outside the current frame of things, talking politics. Because, unfortunately, the current state of political parties is not one that nurtures leadership.
Sure.
And you just need to look at the ODM example. A party that has existed for 20 years has, actually at the time of Raila's death, had 3 deputy party leaders. None of them good enough to actually succeed him. The party had to pick his elder brother to actually be the interim leader. And so when I hear Governor Gladys Wanga getting concerned about reverse gears, it's actually about the steering wheel. You have greater things to worry about in parts of this vehicle. Who is in charge of the steering wheel? Right now, the steering wheel in ODM is actually, in my view, controlled by UDA. It's a very weird way of driving because someone from another car is actually holding the steering of ODM and directing it to 2027. It's down to how we run political parties in this country. They are not really strongly ideologically grounded. They are not prepared for transitions from one leader to another. And in fact, all parties that were led by leaders at the time of their death, those parties die.
Yeah.
I remember way back in 1994 when Jaramogi Oginga Odinga died, and Omolo Kijana made a very powerful speech at Uhuru Park saying that Ford Kenya was not going to die because Ford Kenya was a party teeming with brains. And Michael Omolo Kijana had gift of the gab. He spoke very, 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 very well. But the truth is, our parties are only knee-deep. The leader goes, the party can go. And that's what we're watching with happening with ODM right now. The big question is, can ODM survive Raila's departure? And the signs are not good. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people attending to it. UDA people are with the oxygen cylinders helping out. It's not a very, very good picture. And worse still for the young, for the youth that are looking at the current political vehicles as possibilities for their future. So the youth must think completely out of that proverbial box. And they can. I mean, if you remember 2024, what they did, they shocked the political landscape in totality because of the way they organized. They're able to organize. Now they need to create structures as well that can take their ideas to the next level.
And I think, Yvonne, just to emphasize on that point, that clearly the politics of this country as structured currently does not serve the essence of Kenyans, and indeed the younger generation, which continuously statistics tell us that it's more than 70, sometimes 75%. You must have seen recently the conversation that has been going on about the Member of Parliament for Githunguri constituency, that is Gadano Mushomba, who for over 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, spent her time speaking in everything that was going wrong within the Kenya Kwanza administration. And she's on record in 2023 opposing the finance bill of that year, opposing the finance bill of 2024, and indeed deeply affected by the events of June 2024. Then later that year, there was the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. Again, very deeply affected. And the same person saw the light at the start of this year and has decided that moving forward, for her and the people of Githunguri, it's about development, taking that constituency forward. And how does she do that? It is by going back to the UDA, her original party, and declaring that she needs 3 terms and 2 terms for the president. And of course, it is within her political right to make decisions based on the available information and the aspirations that she may have for herself and for her constituency. But where do you leave Kenyans? Because continuously you inform, because politicians, leaders, are opinion leaders as well. They shape conversations, and people sometimes fight each other because they cannot agree on who is right, who is wrong. But when you speak to the people, and let me use this word very cautiously, when you incite the people towards a certain direction of argument, and later on you switch and you decide to take a different position, and the explanation is not available, like, so what happened? All the issues that you raised, have they been resolved? The people that you complained were killed, murdered by the administration. What has happened? Have they been compensated or something done to make good of whatever loss may have been suffered? So on the question of accountability, I think it's time that the young people, and especially young voters, including those that are going to register in the coming months and weeks and months, they must hold leaders accountable. That you promise, yes. Do you deliver? Exactly. You speak. Do you mean what you're saying? Usually politicians don't. But I think an opportunity for accountability is coming. And the young people, like I said, these are the people. Look, earlier on when we started Newsgang, the early start, we were talking about grade 10 learners. These grade 10 learners are between 14, 15, and 16. Who are the parents of these 15-year-olds? Millennials. If they got these children at the age of 25, that makes them 40. Early 40s. These are millennials. These are young people. These are the same people who do not have school fees to take their children to school.
Right.
If you're talking about the challenges of joblessness, who are we talking about? It is the same generation. And all these dramatic scenes that we are seeing are not responding to any of these concerns that the young people have. I don't think there's a better reason why the young people must think deeply where they want to take their country, because it cannot be that every other election it is about taking someone to an office. We have young governors today, like I said, younger than 45. Have we seen an impact? We have younger senators, we have younger members of the National Assembly, but when they get to the House, it's about voting, asking where is the money coming from. They have been called extortionists by the president. They have been angry, but they have not provided contrary evidence. Surely, there must be a stop to this. It's only the Kenyan people, the young people, that can stop it. Because in any case, like I said, these political leaders, they are older than the average Kenyan in this country.
Absolutely. It's a good place to leave it, guys. Very profound. So, we've got lots to talk about in education in our final words. So let's begin with Linus Kai and his